So guys, today we will discuss why Darryl needs a buff. As you guys probably know by now that Darryl is struggling in the current meta, and he is placed FF tier in a lot of tier lists. So you guys get my point. Darryl isn't doing that good in the meta, and he needs a buff. Well, actually we have some news about a Darryl buff. I got the info from the YouTuber named Darryl. Darryl asks Adrian what did he mean when he replied "Yar" to the question about Darryl buffs. Adrian responds with, "I want to do something for Darryl eventually, but I can't give a timeline for it, so don't want to make any empty promises." So if you didn't know, Adrian is the one who makes balance changes in the game, and he is probably the one who made Frank overpowered anyways. So if you don't know what he means by timeline, he means he can't give the date because it's not decided, and he can't give empty promises that Darryl will be 100% buffed. So now let's talk for a potentially new hypercharge for Darryl. So I'll show you a fan-made icon I made for the hyper. I know the icon isn't good, and Darryl's barrel is supposed to be white because all the hypers have that white thing in the center, and the name of the hyper would be long roll. Now you will question, why is it named that? Because remember that one time Darryl could roll very far. Yeah, also if you don't know what that is, Darryl could basically roll from the other side of the map to another. Now for it to not be game breaking, I would nerf it a little, like Darryl rolls 5 tiles further than normal, or we could name the hyper fast rolling. Now what fast rolling would do, basically Darryl's super would roll like 2 or 3 times faster, but to not make it game breaking it would have a normal charging rate. We could also call the hypercharge hyper rolling. It basically does the same as the fast rolling, just with a different name. So these were my suggestions about a Darryl hypercharge. Now for the buffs. We could give Darryl a damage buff, but he already does a lot of damage up close, so I suggest they don't give him a crazy damage buff. I suggest they give him a 300 damage buff, and I would say they could increase his range and supercharging rate so he can get a slight advantage over his enemies. I mean, most brawlers in the game counter him. So that's it for this video. Make sure to like and sub. Bye.